sometimes y'all just are dumb. Like, no shade at all, but like, what do y'all think is going on?
Jaidyn Alexis thought she had seen it all, but nothing could prepare her for the heartbreak that followed Blueface's final act. Just when she believed things couldn't get any worse, the man she once loved managed to destroy her life one last time before being sentenced to 4 years in jail. Now, with her finances in ruins and emotions shattered, Jaidyn is left picking up the pieces of a life she never imagined would fall apart so completely. How did it come to this? And why did Blueface's last move devastate her in ways she never saw coming? Let's dive into the shocking details. But before that, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get started. Jaidyn Alexis is now completely broke, and the reason behind it is no surprise. It's all thanks to Blueface. It's wild how Blueface managed to pull off one final blow to Jaidyn's life just before getting his 4-year sentence in prison. When fans tried to mock Jaidyn about her financial downfall, she didn't stay silent. She clapped back fiercely. But the real shocker isn't just her financial ruin. There's a twist that no one saw coming. Word on the streets is that Chrisean's baby might end up in Jaidyn's care if she decides to step up and take responsibility. Ever since Chrisean got arrested and her baby was taken by the authorities, not a single one of Blueface's family members has stepped up to do the right thing. His father was busy playing the role of a preacher online, sending prayers for his son like he was performing some kind of low-budget sermon in a parking lot. Meanwhile, Blueface's mother was stirring up drama, trolling his father in the comments, claiming he wasn't even the real baby daddy and that she had tricked him. But through all this drama, no one said a word about what would happen to their grandson. It wasn't until the situation became too hot to ignore that Blueface's family was forced to make a decision outside of the courtroom. The pressure to do something about the baby started mounting, and now all eyes are on Jaidyn. Will she take on the responsibility and raise Chrisean's child, or will Blueface's family continue to avoid their duties? The situation is spiraling, and the choices made in the coming days could change everything for everyone involved. Blueface's parents were caught on camera in a heated argument, with his mom trying to convince his dad to take in Chrisean Jr. But this scene only added to their reputation as an irresponsible embarrassment.
Babysitter, my God ain't babysitter, goddammit.
But that's what everybody looked at you at on the internet.
Shit, whatever.
But what you here for? Because I
It's about him. Trying to make it about this baby. It's about Jonathan today.
bullshit.
That's why you're here for all this. That's why you're here for all this. We know that. We know that.
Secretly, some were relieved that neither of these two stepped up to take Chrisean Jr. in, and for good reason. Given how Blueface turned out under their care, many believed the baby would be safer with Child Protective Services. But the twist is, Chrisean Jr. isn't with CPS or the officers who took him from Chrisean. He's currently staying with one of Chrisean's friends, Marsha. This is the same Marsha who once claimed that Blueface assaulted her. The situation is so precarious that it's clear this can only be a temporary solution. Chrisean's parents are both behind bars, leaving the baby with no stable family option. In this chaotic mess, all eyes are on Jaidyn Alexis, who might be the only real choice left. She's the only one in Blueface's circle who has successfully raised not one, but 2 of his children. Given the circumstances, Jaidyn might be the only hope for Chrisean Jr. to have any semblance of a stable upbringing. The question now is whether Jaidyn will take on this responsibility, or if the baby will be left in this limbo of uncertainty and chaos. Now, the big question looms. Should Jaidyn Alexis take on the responsibility of raising Chrisean's child as her third? It's a massive burden for anyone, especially considering Jaidyn's complicated history with Blueface. Their relationship has always been toxic, and he treated her terribly time and time again. The lowest point came late last year when Blueface proposed to her. To say Jaidyn was ecstatic would be an understatement. She was over the moon. Blueface had gone all out, presenting her with a ring, getting down on one knee, and making it seem like their high school love was finally destined for the altar. But then came the crushing blow. Blueface publicly admitted that he only proposed to Jaidyn to make her happy, not because he genuinely wanted to commit to her. His words were cold, stating that his entire motive was to please Jaidyn, not to anger Chrisean. This was beyond toxic. It was a complete disgrace, and Blueface redefined the meaning of the word with his confession during an interview with Jason Lee.
I proposed to Jaidyn to make her happy. I knew that would make her happy. So my whole objective with all this stuff as far as Jaidyn was not to make Rock mad, but it was to make Jaidyn happy, right? So after I got done doing all of this, and I see that she's...
This revelation sent Jaidyn spiraling. She wasn't in the best mental state before, but after Blueface's betrayal, she completely snapped. Her heartbreak and anger eventually led her to an unexpected alliance with Chrisean, and together, they turned their frustrations toward Blueface's property, trashing his house as a form of revenge. Now, with her life in turmoil and Blueface behind bars, the question of whether Jaidyn should take on Chrisean's child adds another layer of complexity to her already chaotic world. Will she step up to the challenge, or is this just too much to ask from someone who's already been through so much? The stakes have never been higher. Blueface spun a dramatic tale about how Chrisean had left their child, Jr., without a parent at 4:00 a.m. In reality, Jr. was safe with Marsha, who was babysitting him. Blueface, however, decided to play the role of a responsible parent by storming into Marsha's place, assaulting her, and forcibly taking Jr. away. But when it came time to actually stay out of trouble and be there for his son, that so-called responsibility vanished. Instead of making choices that would keep him out of jail and close to his child, Blueface ended up behind bars, leaving his son without a father. There's no sympathy for Blueface in this situation, but the harsh reality remains there's a baby involved. Jr. is now facing the possibility of growing up without either of his parents for the next 4 to 8 years, and he desperately needs someone who genuinely cares about him if he's going to make it through this challenging period. In an interview with VLAD-TV, WAC 100 shed some light on why Blueface is in jail, and it's clear the blame doesn't fall entirely on Chrisean Rock. WAC pointed out that while Chrisean played a role, the ultimate responsibility lies with Blueface himself. Despite whatever influence Rock may have had, Blueface made the final decisions that led to his probation violation and subsequent arrest. WAC emphasized that Chrisean comes from a background of struggle and hardship, where responsibility and maturity were never fully developed. She's navigating a world she never knew existed, having once been homeless and just trying to figure things out. But as a man, Blueface should have recognized the situation for what it was and made better choices.
Now, when we're talking, Blueface is in jail. And you blame Chrisean Rock for his arrest?
No, I blame Blueface because ultimately, whatever it was, he had to make the decision. But, and I can't even blame Rock. Rock, with no disrespect, she's in a world that she never knew existed. She comes from a struggle. When we found her, she was homeless. She never showed any signs of being responsible or even maturity. She was just figuring it out.
Although Chrisean's actions could be problematic, Blueface had the power to control his own decisions. His downfall, in the end, was a result of his own choices, not hers. WAC explained that Blueface's downfall began when he decided to return to Vegas, despite being advised against it. WAC had explicitly told him to stay out of Vegas because they were still battling an attempted murder charge. After taking care of some business, including a Floyd Mayweather event, WAC got Blueface out of Vegas quickly, hoping to keep him out of trouble. But just a week later, Blueface defied WAC's advice and went back to Vegas, likely influenced by Chrisean Rock. When Blueface mentioned WAC's warning about staying out of Vegas, Chrisean reportedly mocked him with comments like, "Is WAC your daddy?" Instead of ignoring the taunts and recognizing that WAC's advice was meant to protect him, Blueface chose to ignore the warning. This poor decision set the stage for what happened next. While in Vegas, a fan approached Chrisean, expressing love for her but disdain for Blueface, saying, "We love you, but we hate him." This negative public perception was a reflection of the controversial image that Blueface and Chrisean had cultivated. But things quickly escalated when Chrisean, pregnant at the time, physically lashed out at the fan. In the chaos, the fan had recorded the incident on a phone. Blueface, thinking he could control the situation, grabbed the phone in an attempt to destroy the footage. However, the phone's value exceeded $7,800, which led authorities to charge him with robbery. Even though Blueface returned the phone just 30 seconds later, the damage was done. The robbery charge stuck, adding to his already serious legal troubles. And all of this stemmed from that ill-advised return to Vegas, a decision that could have been avoided if Blueface had just listened to WAC's advice. Blueface's legal troubles only intensified after the robbery incident in Vegas, which directly violated the probation terms of a California case involving his baby mama. The situation became even more complicated because under California law, any new criminal charge, no matter where it happens, can trigger the mandatory 4-year prison sentence that was already hanging over his head. This was the harsh reality Wack was trying to avoid. So when the robbery charge came down, the strategy shifted from beating the case to reducing the severity of the charge. With 32 cameras capturing every moment of the robbery, it was clear that beating the case outright was unlikely. So the focus became getting the felony charge reduced to a misdemeanor, hoping this would lessen the impact when the case returned to California. The thinking was that if the charge could be downgraded, perhaps Blueface could avoid the full 4-year sentence and instead receive a lighter penalty. Wack brought in attorney David Kessel, a skilled lawyer known for pulling off legal miracles. In a scenario that mirrored Suge Knight's 9-year sentence for violating probation, Kessel managed to work his magic. Despite the serious nature of the probation violation, instead of 4 years in state prison, Blueface was sentenced to 300 days in county jail with a late release date set for July 3rd. This reduced sentence was a huge relief, largely because the robbery charge had been downgraded to a misdemeanor in Vegas, allowing some leniency when Blueface's case was reviewed back in California. This outcome was seen as a small victory in a much larger battle. Wack had successfully navigated several other legal issues for Blueface in the past, including free race shootings, gun cases, and even an attempted murder case. But this time, the stakes were higher. The lesson here was painfully clear. If Blueface had just listened to Wack's advice and avoided Vegas altogether, especially under the circumstances with Chrisean Jr, he wouldn't be in this situation. The entire ordeal could have been avoided if Blueface had chosen not to accompany Rock to Vegas. By doing so, he might have sidestepped the robbery charge, kept his probation intact, and avoided jail time altogether. But as it stands, Blueface's decision to ignore sound advice led to a chain reaction of events that landed him back behind bars, leaving him to face the consequences of his choices. Guys, should Jaidyn step up and take in Jr., adding another child to her already full plate? Or is it time for Blueface's parents to finally take responsibility and provide the stable home they couldn't offer their own son? There's a lot at stake, and every decision could change the future for little Jr. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Then, check out this next video if you don't know that Cardi B cries after Offset mom B kiss her while pregnant. And don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.